In the deepest shadows of the ocean, where sunlight dies and pressure crushes almost everything it touches, there exists a creature that should not survive. It does not hunt like a predator. It does not flee like prey. And yet, it endures. For over 300 million years, through mass extinctions that erased entire worlds, this creature has remained almost unchanged, watching silently from the darkness. Scientists call it the vampire squid. But the truth is far stranger, and far more unsettling than its name suggests. Far below the surface, beyond the reach of light, lies a realm known as the oxygen minimum zone. A place where most animals suffocate within minutes. Here, oxygen levels are so low that survival seems almost impossible. Fish avoid it. Predators refuse to enter it. Even bacteria struggle to thrive. And yet, this is where the vampire squid chooses to live. Not by accident, but by design. The vampire squid is not truly a squid, and not quite an octopus either. It belongs to an ancient lineage, something in between, an evolutionary relic that split from its relatives hundreds of millions of years ago. Its scientific name, Vampirotuthis infernalis, translates to vampire squid from hell. But unlike the blood-drinking monster its name implies, it feeds on something far less dramatic. Something almost invisible. At first glance, the creature appears fragile. Its body is soft, gelatinous, almost ghost-like. A dark, velvety red that blends perfectly into the blackness of the deep sea. Large, luminous blue eyes dominate its face, proportionally some of the largest in the animal kingdom. In the abyss, where even a faint glimmer matters, vision becomes survival. And the vampire squid sees everything. Stretching between its 8 arms is a thin webbing, like a cloak. When threatened, it wraps itself in this cloak, turning inside out. Spines along its arms suddenly face outward, forming a defensive barrier, a living shield of needles. It is a transformation so strange, so sudden, that early scientists believed they had discovered a creature from another world. But this is only the beginning of its secrets. Unlike most deep-sea animals, the vampire squid does not rely on speed. It does not chase. It does not ambush. Instead, it drifts, almost weightless, using specialized fins that beat slowly, gracefully, conserving energy in a place where energy is everything. Because here, in the oxygen minimum zone, movement is expensive, and oxygen is a luxury. Most animals require high oxygen levels to fuel their muscles. But the vampire squid has rewritten the rules of survival. Its metabolism is astonishingly low, one of the lowest ever recorded in complex animals. Its blood contains a unique form of hemocyanin, a copper-based molecule that binds oxygen far more efficiently than most other creatures. This allows it to extract oxygen from water that would suffocate nearly anything else. In essence, it breathes where others cannot. But survival is not just about breathing. It's about finding food, in a place where food is almost non-existent. And this is where the vampire squid becomes something entirely unexpected. Because it is not a hunter. It is not a predator. It is a collector. Drifting through the darkness is a constant rain of organic debris. Dead plankton. Fecal particles. Fragments of decaying animals. Marine snow. To most creatures, this drifting dust is insignificant. But to the vampire squid, it is everything. Using 2 long, retractable filaments, unlike anything seen in other cephalopods, it reaches out into the water. These delicate threads can extend far beyond its body, sensing, gathering, detecting. When they encounter particles of marine snow, the squid reels them in. Slowly, carefully, like a deep-sea spider pulling in its web. The collected material is then coated in mucus, forming sticky bundles. Food, assembled piece by piece, from the leftovers of the ocean. It is a feeding strategy so unusual that for decades, scientists couldn't understand how the creature survived at all. A vampire that doesn't drink blood. A squid that doesn't hunt. Instead, it thrives by recycling death itself. This strategy may seem passive, but in the deep sea, it is genius. By avoiding active hunting, the vampire squid conserves energy. By feeding on marine snow, It taps into a constant, if sparse, food supply. And by living in low-oxygen zones, it avoids predators that simply cannot follow. It has turned one of the most hostile environments on Earth into a refuge. But even here, danger exists. And when threatened, the vampire squid reveals one of its most extraordinary defenses. It does not release ink like other cephalopods. There is no cloud of darkness to hide behind, because in a world already devoid of light, darkness offers no protection. Instead, it produces light. From the tips of its arms, the vampire squid can eject a cloud of bioluminescent mucus, a glowing, sticky substance that drifts and pulses in the water. To a predator, it is disorienting, a sudden explosion of light in a world of darkness. A false target, a distraction. At the same time, the squid performs its cloak display, wrapping its body, exposing its spines, transforming into something unrecognizable. This combination of light and transformation creates confusion, a moment of hesitation. And in the deep sea, a moment is all that's needed to survive. Even its body is designed for deception. Photophores, tiny light-producing organs, dot its surface. They can flicker, glow, pulse, mimicking the faint light from above. This technique, known as counterillumination, helps it blend seamlessly into its environment. To predators looking upward, it disappears. To predators looking downward, it vanishes into blackness. It becomes invisible. But perhaps the most astonishing aspect of the vampire squid is not how it feeds, or how it defends itself. It is how long it has endured. Fossil evidence suggests that creatures closely related to the vampire squid existed over 300 million years ago. Long before dinosaurs. Long before the continents took their current shape. It has witnessed Earth's greatest extinctions. The rise and fall of dominant species. The transformation of oceans themselves. And through it all, it has changed very little. In evolutionary terms, this is not stagnation. It is perfection. A design so finely tuned to its environment that it has required almost no improvement. While other species evolved speed, strength, intelligence, the vampire squid evolved efficiency, patience, adaptation to extremes. And yet, for all that we know, much about this creature remains a mystery. How does it reproduce in such a sparse environment? How do its young survive in waters with so little oxygen? What unknown behaviors unfold in the darkness, beyond the reach of human observation? Even today, with advanced submersibles and deep-sea exploration, encounters with the vampire squid are rare, fleeting, almost ghost-like. It drifts silently through a world we barely understand. A survivor not because it dominates, but because it avoids the need to dominate at all. A creature that thrives not through aggression, but through adaptation to the very limits of life. In the deep ocean, survival is usually about power, about speed, about the ability to outcompete, outfight, or outmaneuver. But the vampire squid follows a different rule. A rule that defies everything we expect from life. It survives by doing less, by using less, by becoming almost nothing. And perhaps that is the most terrifying truth of all. Because in a world where life is a constant struggle for energy, the vampire squid has discovered something extraordinary. A way to exist on the edge of extinction and never fall. In the silent depths where the vampire squid drifts, life does not unfold in bursts of action. It unfolds slowly, almost invisibly. Because here, in a world starved of energy, even time itself seems to move differently. And for the vampire squid, time may be its greatest advantage. Unlike most cephalopods, creatures like octopuses and true squids, which live fast and die young, the vampire squid appears to follow a completely different life strategy, where its relatives burn through energy in rapid growth and short lifespans. The vampire squid endures. Some scientists believe it may live for many years, possibly even decades. A remarkable trait for a cephalopod. This slow life is not a weakness. It is a survival strategy. Every movement is calculated, every action minimized. Because in the oxygen minimum zone, wasting energy is not just inefficient. It is fatal. Even reproduction reflects this philosophy. In most squid species, reproduction is a single, explosive event. They reproduce once and then die. But the vampire squid breaks this rule. Research suggests that female vampire squids can reproduce multiple times throughout their lives. Instead of releasing all their eggs at once, they produce small batches over extended periods. This strategy spreads risk. In an environment where survival is uncertain, placing all offspring into a single moment would be dangerous. Instead, the vampire squid invests slowly, patiently. Each egg drifts into the dark, carrying the fragile blueprint of a species that has already survived hundreds of millions of years. But survival for these young is far from guaranteed. The deep ocean is not just empty. It is unpredictable. And even in low-oxygen zones, danger still exists. Predators that can tolerate these extreme conditions, certain deep-sea fish, larger cephalopods, and even marine mammals during deep dives, pose a constant threat. Though rare, encounters can be deadly. And the vampire squid, with its soft body and lack of speed, cannot rely on escape. Instead, it relies on confusion, on illusion, on turning itself into something that predators cannot easily understand. When fully cloaked, the vampire squid resembles something entirely different from its normal form. Its body disappears beneath its webbed arms. Spines protrude outward like a crown of thorns. Its glowing eyes peer through the darkness like distant stars. To a predator, it is no longer prey. It is something unknown. And in the deep sea, the unknown is often avoided. This strategy, becoming unrecognizable, is rare in the animal kingdom. Most creatures rely on camouflage. Some rely on intimidation. But the vampire squid does something more abstract. It disrupts perception itself. And yet, even with these defenses, it remains one of the least observed creatures in the ocean. Because its greatest protection is not its biology. It is its environment. The oxygen minimum zone is expanding. As global ocean temperatures rise, oxygen levels in many regions are decreasing. Zones once teeming with life are slowly becoming depleted. And with this shift, habitats that were once hostile are growing. For many species, this is a crisis. But for the vampire squid, it may be an opportunity. As oxygen-poor regions expand, competitors and predators may be pushed out, leaving behind an environment increasingly suited to the vampire squid's unique physiology. A silent expansion of its domain, unnoticed by most of the world above. But this raises a deeper question. If an organism is perfectly adapted to extreme conditions, what happens when those conditions spread? The vampire squid is not just surviving the deep sea. It is thriving in conditions that are becoming more common across the planet. Conditions that signal imbalance. In a sense, the vampire squid may represent the future of survival. Not dominance, not speed, not power, but efficiency, adaptation to scarcity, life at the edge. And yet, even now, we understand so little. How does the vampire squid navigate in total darkness? Its large eyes suggest sensitivity to faint light, but in the absence of sunlight, what exactly does it see? Bioluminescent signals? The glow of other organisms? Or something we have yet to fully comprehend? What triggers its defensive displays? Are they purely reactive, or does the squid anticipate danger before it arrives? And perhaps most intriguingly, what is its role in the deep-sea ecosystem? By feeding on marine snow, the vampire squid participates in one of the ocean's most important processes, the recycling of organic material. Every particle it collects, every fragment it consumes, is part of a larger cycle. Nutrients falling from the surface are captured, processed, redistributed. Without creatures like the vampire squid, this slow rain of organic matter might accumulate differently, altering the balance of life below. In this way, the vampire squid is not just a survivor. It is a caretaker, a silent recycler in a world without light. And still, the mystery deepens. Despite advances in deep-sea exploration, remotely operated vehicles, submersibles, high-resolution cameras, the vampire squid remains elusive. Encounters are brief, often accidental, A drifting shadow caught in artificial light, before vanishing again into darkness. It does not approach. It does not investigate. It simply continues, as it always has. Unbothered. Unchanged. There is something almost philosophical about its existence. A creature that has survived not by competing harder, but by stepping outside the competition entirely. In the relentless struggle for survival that defines most life on Earth, the vampire squid chose a different path. It reduced its needs, slowed its pace, adapted to a niche so extreme that few others could follow. And in doing so, it escaped the rules. No predators dominating its world. No urgent race for resources. No constant battle for survival. Just a slow, steady existence in the quietest corners of the ocean. But this does not make it harmless, or simple, or insignificant, because hidden within this quiet existence is a profound truth. The vampire squid has mastered a form of survival that most life cannot achieve. It has learned to live with almost nothing. In a world increasingly defined by scarcity, declining oxygen levels, shifting ecosystems, changing climates, this strategy may hold unexpected significance. The deep sea, once thought to be stable and unchanging, is revealing itself to be dynamic, sensitive, vulnerable, and the creatures that thrive there may hold clues to how life adapts under pressure. The vampire squid is not a monster. It does not hunt. It does not attack. It does not drink blood. But it does something far more unsettling. It survives where life should not exist. It thrives where others fail. And it does so quietly